So you've heard it before, a little spanking won't hurt. They'll figure it out. They just need some toughening up. But these tough love tactics don't actually build long-term resilience. True resilience is built through a secure attachment. Now, if you're not sure of what that looks like, in this video, I'm going to share my 4 tips on how to raise a resilient child through nurturing a secure attachment with them. I'm Lisa, a child behavior expert and a parent coach. I have over a decade of experience as a pediatric occupational therapist. I help parents feel empowered through science-backed strategies in supporting your child's development. Through the right knowledge and tools, you can raise a resilient child that thrives at home, school, and in life. So you might have felt the pressure that you need to be tough on your child, that you need to push your child so that they can achieve, so that they can do things outside their comfort zone. That if you don't raise your voice, you don't lay down the rules, you don't hold the line, they're just going to grow up being weak, entitled, and they're not going to be ready for the real world. But here's the thing we often forget. Our kids are not mini adults. They have a developing brain. They are still learning about the world around them. They're still learning about themselves, what their emotions are, how they feel physically, how to interact socially with other people. So they're not yet wired to know how to think ahead, to self-regulate, to control their emotions, and to handle pressures that we are able to handle. So if we meet their immaturity with dominance, with fear, with shame, with punishment, this doesn't actually teach our kids resilience. Our kids actually become more anxious, and many of our kids actually become more reactive, especially if you have a strong-willed child and you come forth and put dominance in front of them, right? You lay down the rules and you act on with punishment if they don't listen. You're probably getting a lot of pushback and a lot of power struggles with them. If you have a more easygoing child and you're coming about it with this type of attitude, you might be getting obedience. But what's going on deep inside within them is that they actually feel like they can't voice themselves. They cannot actually show their true self. They don't feel seen, they don't feel heard. And in both cases, what this does, it creates a disconnection for our kids who often comply, or for our kids that often push back. When we come in with a very domineering type of parenting approach, they shut down. They actually put up a defense wall because they don't actually feel safe. And without that safety and security, they don't actually know who it is that they truly trust. But it's within that trust, it's within the trust system that actually helps them to recognize who it is that they can lean on in their environment. You as parents, their teachers, whatever support systems they have, and ultimately, can they lean on themselves and trust themselves to make decisions long term. And this is what true resiliency is when you fully trust yourself to make those judgment calls. But before you can trust yourself as a child, you need to feel like you have strong security within your support system, with you as their parent being their number one foundational support system. So the real way to build long-term resilience isn't through punishments, it's not through harsh discipline, but it's through building a security and a connection with your child. And this is the foundation of a secure attachment. So secure attachment means that they trust you as their secure base. It means that deep down, they know that they can turn to you for emotional and physical support. They know that they can come to you, especially when they've made mistakes, when they feel like they screwed up something, they did something they weren't supposed to do. They're not concealing it from you, but they're actually open enough to tell you because they know that they're not going to be isolated. They know that you're not going to start yelling at them and shaming them for the things that they made mistakes with. Or when they're falling apart internally, when they just got broken up with their girlfriend or they had their heart broken for the first time, they're not concealing that from you. They're coming to you and they're sharing their emotions because they know that they're going to be emotionally safe with you. They know that they're going to be validated by you. They're not going to be pushed aside and dismissed of all those feelings that they're having internally. They feel that security and safety because you've nurtured that over the years. When they have that kind of trust in you, again, you are their foundational unit, the one that creates that security of the way they see the world. It's through you and how nurtured and connected they feel to you. Just think of it like a tree. If you are their sturdy tree, they're able to grow all the different branches and branch out away from you as they grow older. And this type of trust gives them that internal strength to start taking risks, to start getting out there, putting themselves out there. They're not afraid of rejection from other people because at the end of the day, they know that they have unconditional love from you. They also know that they can handle stress. They know that if they screw up, if they fail at something, they can still come back to you and they'll still have your support. So how do you actually start creating this secure attachment with your child? It starts from the very beginning. It starts from when they're young, in their childhood years. And that's okay if you're listening here and you have teenagers, because it is never too late. What I'm trying to say is that secure attachment does start right in those first early 0 to 3 years, but there are always opportunities to continue to nurture that secure attachment or change things. If you recognize now that, I haven't been the most secure parent and I have been yelling at my child, I have been using a lot of tough love measures because I thought that's how to build your child's resilience. That's how I was brought up. And now you're recognizing that your child really needs a different approach. Your child really needs to have a nurturing parent who's going to give them that security. It's never too late to make that adjustment. But it is also important that if this hasn't been your pattern for many years and you start shifting, that you start having a conversation with your child and letting them know that, hey, I've made a lot of mistakes in the past as a parent, and I really want to change the way I behave towards you, the way I approach things with you. So you're going to notice that I'm going to react differently to things. And you can always ask me why that is. What is it that I'm trying to do? Because I know it's going to feel very different. And when you kind of lay that out for your kids, they're going to start to recognize, of course, even if you don't say that to them, they're going to recognize anyways the change in your behavior. But at least now this is very transparent and clear for them. So when they do see that shift, they're not surprised and they don't start running away because they're worried something's wrong with mom and dad. Why are they acting so nice now? It's about really building the connection again, that maybe something your child's not used to. Number one is to start with safety. Now really start looking at, am I providing my child both physical and emotional safety? So physical safety. Does my child feel physically safe around me? Have I spanked them? Have I hit them in the past that they're actually afraid of me? They're afraid that I'm going to hurt them. That's a big shift. And start recognizing, well, why do you use those types of tactics? Why have you hit your child in the past? Did you hit them because they misbehaved and you thought that spanking was going to, make them think differently and change their behaviors? Well, really, that's a fear-based tactic. And so reevaluating that and recognizing that hitting my child doesn't actually change anything. It actually instills more fear and creates more of that disconnection. When you start shifting away from physical punishment and you start using more of conversation, your child will start to feel more safe, physically safe with you. Now, emotionally, does your child feel emotionally safe with you? Do they feel like they can open up to you without getting yelled at, without getting reprimanded? Whenever your child comes to you with a problem, what is your first reaction? Is it that you raise your voice and you ask them, what the heck were you doing? Why did you do that? If that's your response, a lot of our kids are quieting themselves, right? They're retreating because they're now afraid of your reaction. And that's concealing, and that's creating a lot of distance and disconnection again. So learning how to allow your child to open up when they come to you, share their opinion. It doesn't mean you have to agree with what they did, but it means to learn to take a pause and learn how to listen to what it is they're trying to tell you and actually have an open dialogue over a reactive dialogue. Number two is to learn how to co-regulate with their feelings. When your child has big emotions, they start crying, they start screaming, they're having a tantrum. When you say things like, just calm down, I don't understand why you're reacting like this. Again, this is creating that emotional insecurity for them. But when we learn how to co-regulate, when we learn how to stay calm in that moment and recognize that my child's acting up, not because they want to manipulate me, not because they're just a bad kid. It's actually because they're having a hard time with something, right? They're acting up because I told them to put away their iPad. I told them that they couldn't be playing this game anymore and that they needed to go have a shower. And in that moment, when your child is having that tantrum, recognize that what they're actually feeling is disappointment, that they have to stop something that they love to do and that they have to do something that they don't really want to do. Instead, learn how to sit with them in those feelings and emotions. While they're crying, while they're upset, learning how to take that pause and not be afraid of it. This is actually a very important point that I like to pinpoint for parents, is that a lot of us, we were brought up to fear emotions that felt very heavy, like anger or feelings of upset and frustration. And it's likely because growing up as a kid, we were told that it wasn't okay. Our parents used to shush us whenever we express those types of emotions. So we've learned to fear it because our parents made us fear it. And so now when we see it in our own kids, we get triggered. We get afraid of it. We don't know how to handle it when our kids are crying and they're upset. But the truth is, our kids need to go through those feelings. They need to learn how to accept it and process it in order to get to the other side. And in order to do that, they need an adult who is able to regulate themselves, to not get pulled into their chaos and to learn how to stay grounded. And in order to do that, you have to really do your own inner work. You need to recognize that I'm getting triggered by my child because it's reminding me of my own childhood when I used to get yelled at whenever I cried. And then start shifting it. Start shifting your mindset and seeing, well, my kid is actually just having a hard time right now, and there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear about these emotions that I'm seeing, and I'm actually okay. I'm going to take my deep breaths. I'm going to stay calm and regulated. And this is where you start to model that regulation for your child. When you learn to take those deep breaths for yourself and actually ground yourself, then you can teach your child, hey, I can see that you're feeling really upset. I know it's not what you want to put away your iPad. Let's take a few moments. I know if you right away get in there and say, let's take some deep breaths, that often triggers them. They're not listening to you. So don't do that right away. Just wait it out a little bit. Let them naturally de-escalate, because kids de-escalate, right? They don't stay up here forever. They eventually calm themselves down. Once they start calming themselves down, that's when you can start really encouraging them, hey, why don't we take some deep breaths if you're okay with that? And some kids do, some kids don't. Some of them just want you to be silent. Some of you just want you to just be there, but don't touch them. Don't try to hug them. That's okay. Now, the thing about co-regulation, it's about you learning how to hold the space for your child, to learn how to be present, but not be reactive to whatever emotions that they're throwing at you. And I know a lot of our kids, they take those emotions and they throw it at you, right? They come hitting, they come screaming. And of course, if it's a safety issue and they're trying to hit you, I'm not saying to let them just hit you and be their punching bag. You do have to protect yourself. If you need to hold them back from hitting you, you do have to do that. But what I'm talking about is when they get so emotionally escalated, you're not there to just shut it down and diminish it. You're actually there to hold the space and stay calm with them, because then they're going to feel your energy. And over time, when you repeatedly do this, they start to learn how to regulate themselves. So number 3 is to repair when things go wrong. Right? So the goal of parenting isn't to be perfect parents, where we never make a mistake, we never say the wrong thing, we never lose our cool, we never yell and scream. We're all human, and it is very common to be overstimulated. If you've had a long work day, you come home and then your children have a big meltdown or a tantrum in front of you and you lose it. Right? You're human. You can't expect to be perfect and to try to stay calm and regulated when internally you're feeling chaotic. That's also not healthy. If you make a mistake and you yell at them, and then at the back of your head, you're like, shoot, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have yelled. I know that's not building a secure attachment. Then you start to panic. Then you start to get anxious. That is not what I want for you. I want you to have a realistic expectation for yourself. It is okay to make a mistake as a parent. The most important step in all this is to learn how to repair, is to learn how to go back when you do make those mistakes. So after you've had your interaction with your child, you've argued, you've yelled at one another, you've had a moment to cool down, and you recognize, I shouldn't have done that. It's so important not to let that situation just pass, because what happens a lot is, everything's calm now. I know we just had that argument, but my kids over there, they're on their iPad, they're happy again. I don't want to like disrupt this anymore. Like, it's over. But the reality is, both of you still will always have the memory of the argument. And whether or not you remember exactly what you said, what you argued over, you're always going to have that feeling inside of you. And if it's never addressed, if it's never brought up, it's going to continue to brew. And what that turns into is long-term resentment, long-term disconnection. So always go back to repair. Yes, your child's happy, and maybe in that moment is not the right time to do the repair, but it's finding the moment, and a really good time is actually during bedtime, when you are winding down with your child. You guys are both laying down, and here's your time where you're discussing things, and now is when you bring it up. Hey, earlier today, I'm sorry I snapped at you. I'm sorry that I raised my voice. I didn't mean to do that. I was actually feeling really frustrated, not just because of the situation, but because I had a really stressful day at work and I was just overwhelmed. So I hope you understand, and I do want to apologize for my behaviors. When you can repair like that, that helps your child to see where you're coming from. And it also teaches them how to own up to their mistakes as well. And finally, staying connected even when you have to discipline your child. So when we discipline, what that means, it's really learning how to hold those firm boundaries in a loving way. When our children, they surpass our boundaries, right? They did something they shouldn't do. It's not about being permissive and just going, okay, whatever, you know what, fine. You can have 10 more minutes on the iPad, even though I said, you had 1 more minute. It's not about doing that. It's about learning how to hold the line, but not raising our voices in those moments, not yelling at our kids, because that drives that disconnection. What I mean by saying stay connected with your child, it's really acknowledging the feelings they have in those moments when you do have to discipline them, right? If let's go back to that example, you told them that they need to put their iPad away. They don't want to. They're negotiating with you. And you hold the line. We can't continue watching screens. I gave you 10 minutes and it is time to put it away. Then they start having a complete tantrum on the floor, screaming, crying, saying things, I hate you, you're the worst mom, you're so strict, blah, all the things. And of course, it's hurtful. It's hurtful to hear your child say all those things to you. But in those moments if we become reactive, we're going to drive the disconnection. Instead, to stay connected in those moments when we're disciplining, it's acknowledging, I hear you. I know how upsetting this feels. I know how much you like to play this video game. Right now, it's still not the time to continue playing. We do have to put it away. And you continue to let them cry, and you continue to co-regulate with them. You continue to sit with them through those tough feelings that they're having, and you're showing to them that I'm not afraid of your emotions. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not about to walk away and leave you here because I think that you're too much, that I don't want to deal with you. I'm actually here because I understand the feelings that you're going through. I know how tough it is for you, and I'm going to wait it out. And that actually shows true security for your child. Your child actually starts to see that you care about them despite those feelings they have inside in that moment. And over time, they start to trust you. They start to trust the boundaries that you've set, right? Because you have boundaries for a reason. You know that you set the boundary because having endless screen times isn't good for our kids. It's addictive. It takes them away from things that are more important for them. So you need to have those boundaries. But for them, they can't see that yet. But over time, when they can see that you're a solid foundation for them, right? You're not there to yell and scream. You're there to help them feel emotionally safe. They will start to trust you and they'll start to respect those boundaries that you set for them. So if this feels quite unfamiliar to you, being a secure parent, showing secure behaviors with your child, and trying to raise a secure child, maybe you grew up in a family where this was never the type of environment you were in. You just had a lot of screaming. You had a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blaming, and no one seemed to be able to communicate effectively in your home. This is going to feel very alien to you. And I want you to know that you aren't alone in this journey. If you're really, truly ready to start shifting the way your family dynamic is and the way the connections are being built in your home, I'm here to support you through my one-on-one parent coaching. Through my parent coaching sessions, you will learn how to start rebuilding that connection with your child. You'll start learning about your own triggers. You'll start learning about how to be emotionally regulated for your child, how to show up differently. I'll even give you scripts that are going to really help you get started on knowing how to handle the really tough situations you're facing with your child. So if you're ready to get started, you can book a free consult call through the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video informative. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.